and I am often found with organizations like NATO or Fortune 500 companies just trying to support their teams and their leaders become the kind of most grounded, most productive, and the healthiest version of themselves. And I really wanted to do these lives because I am having so many conversations with so many colleagues, peers, comrades, clients, all the lot of them. And everybody is super reactive because the market is all over the place at the moment. And it feels as though there is just so many interruptions. We're being really reactive, we're being pushed around. We don't know where to start with our work, we don't know where to finish, and we're feeling exhausted and tired. And I really, truly believe that we should come together in periods like this and we should try to support ourselves. So, this week, I would like to discuss. My topic was I'm surrounded by noise and I can't think. This theme that so many of us are experiencing. And I want to offer some insight on this and a couple of actionable steps to be able to help us deal with this. But before I do that, for those of you who are watching live, I would like you, or not, entirely up to you, just to take a moment, just to stop where you are and either one, stop multitasking because that's the fastest way to exhaust yourself. Stop multitasking and then just pause. So if you're watching on your phone in bed, just lie there, okay? If you're at work, just take a moment just to stop, get your breath, all of that type of a thing. And then I just want you to look around the room. And I just want you to notice three things in your environment. You could slowly turn your head to the left, scanning your environment, and just pick three things that you can see. You can mentally whisper those things to yourself. Then we're going to come back to center. And then we're going to go off to the right, slowly turning our head and just scanning our environment to find two or three things, letting the eye linger on them, whispering what they are to yourselves, back to the center. And if you're comfortable, feel free to really notice the chair holding the weight of you or the ground beneath your feet. Or, as I said, if you're still in bed, allow yourself to feel the bed kind of holding you. And just take a moment just to exist. And then we'll crack on. Okay. So the reason that I begin with that is so many of us are just hustling, hustling, hustling. We're going really, really quickly. We're jumping from one task to the next, to the next, to the next, in our heads with holding four or five different ideas and concepts and to dos at the same time. And it feels productive. It feels as though very important for a start. I've got to get all of these things. It's urgent. We've got this mobilized forward energy, and I've got to get these things done. And we forget to actually pause and to slow down and to kind of prioritize being in the present because it feels as though it is an indulgence or there's no time for that. We've got to keep going on because we don't realize or we forget that slowing down, connecting with ourselves or our environment, and allowing these regenerative pauses are the tools that will actually help us survive and thrive in high pressure and high performing environments, and particularly when we are surrounded by noise, as we all currently are. So, first and foremost, before we discuss the idea of there's too many interruptions, there's too much to do, or there's so much to do. We've got big, audacious goals. We have pressure from the top, we have pressure from the sides to make our targets and to get things done. First and foremost, I want us to recognize that when we are operating under sustained pressure, we, or the majority of us, can have a tendency to kind of like blame ourselves for not being able to do everything all at once. We feel as though we should be able to support the family, to look after our parents, to get the work done to the best standard possible, to make time for friends, all at the same time and at the same great standard. And when we start to drop balls and make mistakes, we blame ourselves. Well, I need to try harder, I need to double down, or it's my fault because I took the foot off the gas for 2 seconds, or it will be better once I've had the holiday. And this is not true, friends, whatsoever. We blame ourselves for a systemic issue. Okay. So most systems have evolved to just keep pushing, go forward momentum, keep going, keep digging, keep doing. And many of us are kind of under resourced and over pressured. And we are not designed, we're humans, we're organic matter. We are not designed to march on relentlessly without pause, although the systems that we are in do encourage this. Okay. So, first and foremost, do not blame yourself when you feel overwhelmed or like you're dropping things, and don't individualize it and make it your fault. You are trying to operate in a system that isn't designed for human flourishing or high performance. Okay. And if you think, particularly if you've got a family, you're trying to exist inside your system. You have got your family, you have got your work, you have got your hobbies, you have got your community projects, that kind of a stuff. And then if you have a family, our children are then operating inside of their systems. They've got their sports clubs, their camps, their hobbies, their friendship stuff, and all of that comes with pressure systemically. And then we can put that out as well, looking at our maybe aging parents that we're trying to support. And we are carrying the weight of all of that. So that alone is going to force reactive behaviors where we feel like we're drowning. If you are in charge of a team, if you are in a power position, please do take note and think to really maximize like the team's performance and to ensure that your team feel safe and well. You have got to look at the structure that you're actually putting in place first and foremost. Are your team having time to recover properly? Are you looking at the way work is divvied up and the expectations that your employees and team members have on how contactable they have to be, when they have to get to their emails, their turnaround time on things? Is it realistic or not? So, first and foremost, if you're in the power position, think about the structure for your team. And then, as individuals, whilst the system puts the pressure on, we're still in them, right? So, we've got to do what we can to kind of thrive in these spaces. So, the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do is going to feel icky and counterintuitive. And I'm going to ask you to slow down and to really prioritize time in the present moment with yourself and on a task as well. When we are surrounded by noise, we feel overwhelmed and we can't think. The natural response for many is like, just go harder. If I just get this task done, then it's going to be okay. Or we might collapse, and we just can't do anything. And therefore, it builds up, the tasks builds up, and the work builds up. Okay. And this is because we are stressed. And so the brain, instead of being able to think accurately and clearly, it's kind of double down on the stress. And we lean into it. And we have this upward spiral of reactive stress behaviors, thinking, I'll just hustle harder, and it will get easier. The hustle is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, or we're going to feel more collapsed until we end up getting on holiday and then we're going to get sick. Okay, so I need you to prioritize slowness. Okay, when we go slower, when we do regenerative, regenerative behaviors, that actually gives us the mental bandwidth and the capacity to do more for longer going forward. It allows us to put the thinking brain back online properly so we make better decisions. So we are able to be kind of regulated in our conversations, and we are able to be more accurate in any actions that we take. So if you think slow equals smooth, smooth equals fast, that's how we want to prioritize showing up across the whole of our different life buckets. Okay, that's super duper important. Um, and this can be as much as blocking 15 minutes after meetings in your calendar, or trying to prioritize your workday so that in the mornings you have 10 minutes to yourself, even if you're a parent. By the way, I have 4 children, and I try and follow regenerative leadership in a very messy way, but I really try and prioritize recovery time before work, and I model that behavior to my children so they also try and take a slow approach, which is setting them up for good habits going forward. Okay, so think about, like, the most important thing is ring fencing some recovery for optimal performance. And also remember that everything in life is an exchange. So the energy that you put into your hustle, your day to day, your high performance, all of that kind of a stuff, if you don't match that output with a regenerative, recovered input, you are going to pay in the future. There, because everything comes with the cost. And I use biotech on clients, so I can see how their nervous system is currently responding and dealing with stress and overwhelm. And I can tell that people who are hustling, hustling, hustling without the recovery, I can actually see how their nervous system is under chronic pressure, chronic stress, and I can see the burnout about to happen. And then we have all of the illnesses that actually come with that. So just think, you've always got to pay the man. Nothing in life comes free. And with any big energetic output, there has to be a income, an input, and we have to match that with recovery. So play with it, prioritize it. And then the only other thing that I wanted to say, because we've only got 15 minutes, is to think about your work. Most of us are going into our lives, our workplaces, like reactive, because we have optimized our lives so much that all that's happening is our attention is getting like ripped away from us. So we have our emails on our phone, we have our notifications. We feel that emails are, what we worship, and that we have to be present 24 hours a day. You are an organic being. You do not have to be present for anybody 24 hours a day. And even when the system pushes for that, remember, recovery is what optimizes the performance. So if you are continuously contactable, then your output is going to be low quality because you're going to be too exhausted to be able to do that. And again, like I said, if you have a family as well, then you're already starting the day potentially depleted because you've already had the morning battles. You've already had to think about everybody else's schedules. You've already used that brain battery to such an extent that you're not entering your workday at like 100% firing fit. You've already drained that battery. Maybe it's to 70%, maybe it's to 90, maybe it's to 50. Okay. That's why we prioritize self. And that's why we want to think about reducing reactivity. You must not begin your days looking at emails, picking up phones, and responding to notifications. Because the second we fall into that trap, then we are in everybody else's bubbles. We are reactive to everybody else instead of leading our own days. I know that this sounds really simplistic, and we could discuss it 1,000 times over, and all its nuance and all of its intricacies. But as much as possible, leave the emails till the end of the day so that you're not being pulled into firefight for other people. And the end of your day needs to be the planning for the next day, the responding to the emails and the planning for the next day. And the beginning of your day, when you hit that office or hit whatever the task is all about prioritizing you, workload, recovery, and then working through your actual work and thinking all of this stuff that drags my attention away from me, the Teams pinging, the emails, the phones, the Slacks, where possible and when possible, even if it's just for half an hour, we mute the notifications. We have got to do that because our job is to access deep work where we can problem solve, be creative, and be innovative. And that is, well, it's impossible to do that if our attention is constantly being pulled by everything else. We're not designed for that. Your brain is a battery, and we have to and can only focus at one thing at a time. So, little casual conversation there. Definitely ask if you've got any tips, tricks, or insights. Please do share them with me. You can slide into my DMs or whatever else, and I'd love to hear it. But I suppose the crux of this is you're not alone. Everybody that I'm speaking to feels stuck on this hamster wheel of reactivity, and they feel like the more effort they put into getting through the workload or getting on top of stuff, then the faster they're going to feel regulated and able to rest and recover. That's not how it works. The faster we go, the faster we go. And we'll get whatever we are working against is going to keep coming. To truly thrive, we have got to get uncomfortable, prioritize recovery as the strategic tool to help us survive in this pressure and to think well and to think clearly. But that's it, friends. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm going to go and take some of my own advice and really focus on what I actually want to get done without looking at those emails and prioritizing some time for me.